Hello everyone, my name is Riyad Alizadeh. Together with my colleagues Sadiq Babayev and Adil Alizadeh, we will present our project, the Humanities project for the topic of the languages. So, we're studying from our table of contents, of course. So the first thing that we'll be talking about is the language families. Then we will have the geography of the languages, of course. Then we will have the ancient languages. And at the end, we'll have the history of Azerbaijani Turkish languages. So we're starting. And the first thing that I'll be talking about is our language families. So the language families can be grouped into families that are based on their similarities, that are, for example, that are common in grammar, that are common in vocabulary, or maybe syntax. For example, we have shown you some examples over here. You can see that in the European, Dravidian, Uralic, Niger-Congo, Altaic, Austronesian, Sino-Tibetan, and Afro-Asiatic types of the language families. So right now we'll be moving on. So as you can see here as an example, I will show you. So we have the language groups and short information about the language families. So that's the language families are the sets of languages that share a common ancestor and have similarities in terms of grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. So as you can see from this picture that is shown over here, so from different parts of the world, the languages are different. They are differing between themselves. But for example, the Russian Privet and Ukrainian Privet, they are actually pretty common to each other because they have the very close ancestors. So this is the reason why some languages are really close to each other and they're appearing actually from each other during the period of the history. Now we'll be moving on. Now we have the distribution of the languages. So talking about the distribution of the languages, we should talk about the geography of the world languages, of course. So there are some basic, very short facts about the distribution of languages and the geography of world languages. So that we can see over here the map of the world language families today. So we can see that the huge distribution, for example, for the American, North American, and actually the South American too, is basically taken the Indo-European language group, language family also. So it's basically the same thing. We have also the this color over here that actually shows us the Armenian. So we can see that, for example, in the European is also taking a huge part of Eurasia, but a huge part also of Russia in some parts also of, for example, over here that we can see in approximately in Kazakhstan, we can see that Euro-Asiatic. Also, we can see that in the North Africa, for example, we can see the Afro-Asiatic. But however, for example, in a little bit part of South Africa, we can see that this little small green, for example, this also takes we can take it into consideration as in the European, but in the middle of the Africa, so it's kind of the south of Africa, including the middle of Africa, we can tell the African language group that's being over here. Also, can see that, for example, in Madagascar, however, it's a little bit different. Here we have Malayo, Polynesian. So you can see that it's also taking over part, its part over here. For example, you can see that in China, most of its part is, Sino-Tibetan. So moving apart, so that what we can see is we can see that the English is one of actually it's the most widely spoken language. It has over 1.5 billion speakers worldwide, and it's increasing day by day. The second one on our place is the Mandarin Chinese language. It's also most widely spoken language. However, it's related to of native speakers, so that it has the most native speakers. It's more than 1 billion people. So that 1 billion people, even more, are having their native language as the Mandarin Chinese. Also, we can move downwards. We can see that Spanish is the second most widely spoken language in the whole world, over 580 million speakers. It's more than half a billion. We have Hindi and Arabic. These are also very widely spoken, more than 5 million speakers each. So it's more than, again, half a billion. And there are some languages that are having the small population, for example, the Icelandic and Maori, they're having less than, for example, half a billion, for example, speakers even, so that we can move on. And this part will be told by Adil Alzadeh.
Okay, okay, okay. So, the camera is here, just for synchronizing. Shalom lekulam ve'lag omer sameach. And today we are going to talk about Hebrew, which is one of the most ancient languages to have ever existed in the history of humankind. So, Hebrew is a language that belongs to the Afro-Asiatic language family, specifically the Canaanite branch. It is considered to be the language of the Jewish people and the state of Israel, and is also spoken by Jewish communities worldwide, sort of like Yiddish and Aramaic, but just more well known. The Hebrew language has a long and rich history, with roots dating back to biblical times. Fun fact, the Holy Bible was actually written in Hebrew, with some parts of it being written in Aramaic, which we are going to come back to later. Hebrew is written using the Hebrew alphabet, which consists of 22 letters and is read from right to left, sort of like Arabic, and it has a lot of similarities with Arabic, which makes sense for they are practically sister languages. And now I am going to talk about the history of the language and how it was actually dead for a long time before being resurrected. So, the Great Resurrection. Hebrew, an ancient language with over 3,000 years of history, faced a devastating blow after the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, which is not only a great biblical event, but it is also very important for Jewish people all across the world, and it is also the reason why Jewish people celebrate Hanukkah. The once vibrant language was replaced by Aramaic, and for centuries it was confined to religious contexts and not widely spoken as a daily language. Fun fact, the language Aramaic was the language that Jesus used to speak. But in the late 19th century, a group of Jewish immigrants to Palestine refused to let Hebrew die. They worked tirelessly to revive it as a modern spoken language. Through their efforts, Hebrew was resurrected and modernized, making it relevant to contemporary society once again. Today, Hebrew is spoken by over 9 million people worldwide and is the official language of the state of Israel. A true testament to the incredible resurrection of a language once thought to be dead. So, this language was technically, in layman's terms, dead for several centuries before being resurrected by people who just couldn't let it die, which is, again, a true testament to the incredible resurrection of a language once thought to be dead. And now I am giving the floor to the next speaker, which is Riyadh, which is Sadig. Just cut the part.
Hi everyone, in my part I will talk about the history part of the language, and an ancient language with over 13 years of history faced a devastating blow after the destruction of the Second Temple in 17 CE. So the once vibrant language was replaced by Aramaic, and for centuries it was confined to religious contexts and not widely spoken as a daily language. So during that time, they were not using this language as a normal daily language. But in the late 19th century, the group of Jewish immigrants to Palestine refused to let Hebrew die, so they worked tirelessly to review it as a modern spoken language. And after this, they start to use this language as a modern daily language. So they were using this language, for example, while they are talking with each other or inside of the Palestine. So Hebrew was re, re, restructured and modernized, making it relevant and contemporary society once again. Today, Hebrew is spoken by over 9 million people worldwide in this the official language of the State of Israel. A true testament to the incredible restructuring of the language of through to the dead. So, from this information, we can see that from that time, still in Israel, they are using this language as official government's language, country's language. So the second part is the history of Azerbaijan Turkish language, and we have some resources which we can see that these languages are where did came. So in Kitabi Dede Gorgut, as we see from the picture, during that this means during that time we will not we yeah we can see actually we our all Turkish people use this language. So not only from Dede Gorgut but also the Türk Dili İptihai Mektep Usulu. From this also we can see that this is not actually the old as Dede Gorgut, but still it's old, and this is the area which are using this Turkish language. So we have Azerbaijan, we have Turkey, we have Kazakh, Uzbek, Turkmen, Uyghur, Tatar, and Siberian. So that's all. This was our presentation. We talk about the history, geography, and history of Azerbaijan language. So that's it from our side. Thank you for your attention. Bye.